Hello, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Anthony, and today I'm going to show you to get free energy from your energy company. Now, a couple different ways to go about doing that, but the way I'm doing it is by installing a Tesla solar system with Tesla power walls. And whether you have solar or don't have solar, this information could be very helpful in helping you decide if you actually want to buy solar, how to go about doing that. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to go over my bills to show you what my history has been with my system, show you an actual bill of what it would look like, and kind of cover how to configure the system if you have a Tesla system, such as Tesla Solar and Tesla Powerwalls, how to configure the Tesla app so that you can get a maximum return on your investment, okay? Or actually get a free electric bill. Now, I've been helping people for a few months now, well, actually for a few years, in providing recommendations on how to configure their systems, what type of system to install, what size system to install. Now, I don't work for the solar company. I don't work for Tesla. This is just something I do to kind of help people out. So I created this video to kind of sum up all the key talking points that are important when purchasing solar or how to leverage your system once it's installed. So if you look at my bill here, this is a history of my bill starting from October 2023, which is the date of when I'm recording this video, down to October of 2022. And what you'll notice is that each month under new charges, I have a negative bill, okay? What you'll also notice is my kilowatt usage. Now, it does vary month to month, but I can tell you it's been very high this past summer. We've had an insane heat wave where it felt like it was literally 100 degrees every day for like 5 months. I don't think my air conditioner ever shut off. Now, in addition to powering my home, I also have a Tesla vehicle. So I actually use the free energy that I get to charge my vehicle. So I actually have no fuel charge for driving my car. So I save twice. So not only did I switch to an EV to decrease my cost of driving per mile, I don't have to pay for gasoline. I converted to electric, but now my electric is free on top of that. So I benefit twice. Now, most people tell you that solar is not worth it. It's a waste of money. You know, you could just keep paying for electricity. You have this payment, but the payment goes away. Now, picking the right solar company is very, very important. The first thing to keep in mind is a lot of these third-party companies overcharge you. So what they'll do is they'll install solar, but no batteries. And they'll charge you 2 to 3 times more than you would actually pay just by going to Tesla directly. Tesla does their own installations. So you buy it, you see the pricing right online. You're not subject to some sales guy trying to figure out how much he can, take advantage of you. I've watched other people in my community get solar installed from multiple different companies, including large companies, which I won't name here, but get your estimates. Have multiple people come and compare apples to apples. They'll compare apples to oranges. What they'll do is they'll say, oh, well, Tesla's going to charge you $300 a month. We're only $100 a month, but you're going to pay for 25 years. Tesla, you'll pay for 10 years. So you got to, multiply that out and figure out your total cost of ownership for solar. Okay. So what I'm actually doing is I had solar installed, I had power walls installed, and every month I get a little bit back. But I also have zero energy charge. I don't pay base charges, I don't pay anything. So I'm actually using not only the tax credit I got from the government to pay down my system, but I'm also using the energy that it generates and selling it back to the company and getting it back in the form of a check. Now, if you look at my previous balance, you notice that varies. So it keeps going up. So I go from October 2022 up, it goes up, and then all of a sudden it drops. Well, what happened was I called them up and I said, hey, I have this credit for $596.65. Can you send it to me in the form of a check? And then I got that check. And then next month, I got another credit and then another credit. Now, these really large months are because I got referral credits. So if you do use my referral code for the energy provider, they give you $100 off your first bill. Oh, they give you $100 credit on your bill, actually, not off your first bill, but they give you $100 credit, and then I get a referral of $100. So I've referred multiple people, as you can see. I will have my link in the description section of this video. Okay, but it's not really my goal here. My goal here is really to help you configure your system and pick the right energy provider. The energy provider I have I'm based in Houston, Texas. So they're available here. This plan may not be available in your area. There may not be a provider in your area that offers this, but if you are in the Houston area of Texas or another area where there's a free nights plan with solar buyback, you can get the same benefit as me. Okay. But I'm going to show you how to configure this, even if you have a net metering plan, or even if you don't get solar buyback and you just have a free nights plan. That's really what we're looking for. We're looking for tiered pricing or free nights or a free nights and weekends, whatever those plans happen to be. So if I go over to the next 13 months here, you notice from September 22 to September of 2021, again, a bunch of negative bills. Now at the bottom, for a couple months, I did have positive bills, and that was the reason is I was actually adding 3 more power walls to my home. Prior to that, I only had 2 batteries, 2 power walls. I decided to upgrade my system. So for that short period of time, my solar will still pretty much power my home, but just for that small period of time, I had to pay a little bit for electricity while my system was going through an upgrade from September into November. Okay. Now, if I go to the next prior months from August 2021 to August 2022, at this time, I only had 2 power walls, but now I have 5. So this is prior. So you can see I still generated a negative bill. In addition, during this time period, there was a feature that wasn't available, and it was called grid charging, which I'm going to show you in this video. So you'll notice I was using my solar and power walls to power my home, but I wasn't leveraging as much of the grid energy at that time, like the free nights. I was only powering my home at night. I wasn't actually charging my batteries. So my consumption was lower because I was using more of my solar to power my home, but I still netted a negative bill during this time period. Now let's jump over to one of my bills. Okay. So if you look at this bill is from towards the beginning of the year, just at the beginning of the heat wave that we had from spring into summer. Okay. What you'll notice here is in this section here, my energy charge was 1,387 kilowatt hours at 19 cents per kilowatt. Now, the funny thing about this is that it was pretty much done at night. So what you'll see is this night's free energy credit, where they credit me back almost all of it, just under 4 kilowatt hours. That's probably the most I use each month, is just under 4 kilowatt hours. Okay. So I pretty much got all my money back, except for like 60 cents. Okay. Then the energy that I generated in this month, I actually generated more than I consumed. I sold it back at a little over $48. Then of course they have their base charge, some taxes in here. So I netted $41.86. And it got tackled onto my prior balance. I did get a $100 credit on my account for referral credit for someone using my code, but just ignore that for now. What we really want to focus on is how much money am I getting back each month? And what you'll notice is that I'm on a free nights plan. Okay. Now my contract expires in October, which it just expired because I'm recording this video in October, but I actually renewed my contract for another 3 years. And I want to kind of point that out when you see my future bill to make you aware that this is not something that is going to go away anytime soon. It is still available as of today. And I was able to lock in this plan for the next 3 years. Okay. Now, one of the key things to kind of point out is I don't care how much they charge me for the daytime because I'm not using any peak energy from the grid. So they can charge me 30 cents, 50 cents, $1. It doesn't make a difference for the way my system is configured and the way I'm leveraging it. So if you have a similar configuration, don't get caught up on the peak rate, because really, if you have batteries and you have solar, all your energy is going to be coming from there, not from the grid. So you're going to have a 0 peak charge. It's only your night charge, your off-peak usage that you're concerned about. So for me, it's 0. I don't pay anything. So I get 100% of the electricity for free. I don't have any delivery charges or anything of that nature, as you notice on my bill. It's all encapsulated within that charge during the peak time. If I go over to my next bill, you'll see, again, I used 2,000 kilowatt hours this time, but I only generated about 1,800. So I generated less, but I sold it all back to the electric company. So not only did I use more than I generated, I also didn't pay for it. I got almost all my money back, except for like 4 kilowatt hours worth of energy. Okay. Now, what you notice is because I have a buyback plan, I was able to get a check for $326.55. This is my refund check. Okay. So it got sent back to me. So it's showing that I'm actually getting the money back, right? Covered all my base charges, my taxes, and I still netted $46.94. Okay. Go to the next month bill. You'll see that $46.94. Again, some taxes. This time I used almost 2,500 kilowatt hours, but I only generated about 1,900. I actually generated a lot less this month. It's like, again, this summer was just brutal. We were getting hammered with the heat. It was relentless. No rain, no nothing. It was just horrible. And then all my base charges still netted a negative charge of $50.43. Now it accumulated. Okay. Fast forward to the next month, you're going to see the same thing, except what you're going to see is a huge difference. I only generated 1,600 kilowatt hours, but I used almost 2,800, right? If you say 2,700 and 1,700, it's over 1,000 kilowatt hours here in free electricity that I generated here. Okay, that I got free. I got for free, and I sold the energy I generated and still got $42.96. So again, my system at the current moment was not meeting my energy consumption, okay, with my stored energy and everything, right? So my solar system is not generating enough electricity for me, but because I have a free nights plan, I'm able to take advantage of this. Now, you are not required to have 100% coverage of your energy. Most companies will try to sell you like, use 10,000 kilowatt hours. Let's get you a 10,000 to 11,000 kilowatt hour system. You don't need it, especially if you get a plan like this. You only need a 5,000 kilowatt system. We need is battery backups. And what's great about batteries is they're the same as having a generator, except you don't have to pay for fuel. You get a generator, a gas generator, you got to pay for gas if your power goes out, and you only use it when your power goes out. So it's like a money pit. You're sinking money into a generator, which provides no return on investment. So whatever these companies are out there saying that there's no return on investment on getting solar and battery, they're wrong. You can see it here. I'm actually getting paid every month for the energy I generate, and I have a zero electric bill, right? I'm actually have a negative electric bill. Let's go fast forward, go through a couple more bills, and then we'll jump over to the app. But again, look at this. Here's my credits, right? Now, if you look, I just renewed my contract. So until October of 2026, I'm locked into this free night plan for the next 3 years. Again, for the next 3 years, I'll continue to get, $40-something back. Now, the credit does go down as the cooler months go, but also my consumption goes down too. So it's kind of so you'll notice that now we're in October, it's cooler. My AC is not running 24/7 at max capacity. It's starting to somewhat go down. As you see, I used a little bit less than 2,000 kilowatt hours, and it'll start to decrease into the year. But, I'm driving a little bit more. So I'm using a little bit more of my car. I'm getting out of the house. So some of that energy consumption is actually from doing more driving. But you'll see that I only generated 700 kilowatt hours, right? Because it's getting darker early, and it's not getting, we're not getting sunshine as early, right? So I have a shorter day period, so I'm generating less electricity, okay? But if you look, this is almost like 1,300 kilowatt hours I got for free. 12 to 1,300 kilowatt hours I got for free because of the way I have my system configured. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to how to configure your system if you have a Tesla system with Tesla Powerwalls. Now, if you're using another system that has similar functionality, you'd have to figure out how to configure it and maybe look for a plan of this nature and see if you can take advantage of it. But this video is really going to focus on how to maximize your return with a Tesla system, which I can tell you is a lot less expensive than these third-party companies. To be honest with you, I just think they rob you. Just be blatantly honest. They just overcharge you. But you can see that on your own. Just get some estimates. Okay. All right, so now we jumped over to the Tesla app. And as you can see, this is my home. And what you'll notice is right away is I have 5 Powerwalls. I'm down to about 29% capacity. It's 8:30 p.m. I'm about 30 minutes away from my peak time ending and my free nights kicking in. So I've been able to power my home for the entire day. Still got plenty of battery left to continue to power my home. You'll see I'm not pulling anything from the grid. I'm not getting anything from solar because it's already dark out. and you can see what my home usage is. Right now, my AC is still running, and I have the lights on, some computers on, families watching TV. So we're pulling about 3.5 kilowatt hours. What I've noticed is a single AC unit will use about 3 kilowatt hours to 4.5, depending how big your system is. I have about a 3.5 ton system, so I'm using about 3 kilowatt hours. You may use a little bit more depending on the size of your AC unit. And if you have more than one AC unit, you may pull more electricity. So when you're installing solar, that is very important to understand is how much energy do you actually pull. You can kind of get a gist of that just based on your electricity bill, right? If you're someone who uses 30,000 kilowatt hours a year, well, you have two AC systems. You have one AC system, you just have the lights on all day long. Like, what do you do that you use that much electricity, right? Typical home can use like less than 10,000 kilowatt hours. I have an electric car, and for my home, on an annual basis, I use about 12,000 kilowatt hours. Okay. Now, let's just talk about how to configure your Tesla system. It's really simple, but it's really important to get these settings right. If they differ, you're probably not going to get the same result as me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come down to settings over here. And what you're gonna notice, you're gonna have a list of settings. Now, the first thing you need to do is configure your utility rate plan, which is the fourth item in this list. And what you'll notice, mine says Amigo Free Nights. That's the company that I use as my energy provider here out in Houston. And again, I'll have my referral link in the description if you want to take advantage of this company. It's the only company that I found. I think there's one other, but everybody else is either net metering. So that would not benefit me because any energy I sell back, I would not be able to get that check. They would just give it to me for future usage, which I won't have. So that doesn't work for me. So you'd have to figure out if a net metering does work for you. Maybe your solar system doesn't cover it. You don't have enough batteries. So you want a net metering plan. You got to pick the right plan. But the goal of this is to maximize the free nights, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to configure our plan. And it's very important to get the settings correct. Now, you can have seasons. That's fine. I just don't, same thing the whole 12 months. I don't have difference in pricing between spring and winter and fall and summer, right? It's the same for me. Now, for me, my peak usage starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 9 p.m. There are some companies that do 9 to 9, they'll maybe do 7 to 8, 8 to 8. Depends on what company you go with, right? You'll find a mix of companies. Some will have like free nights and free weekends or just free nights. You find the plan that has some free electricity. My off peak is from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. So all I did was I went in here, I said utility provider, Amigo wasn't in the list, so I put as a custom name, and then the rate plan I put as a custom plan name, okay? And I just went in and I filled it in, okay? The next thing I did was my schedule. So when I click on edit schedule, I made sure that I have peak and off peak. So every time you click this add this time period, you just basically go in there and you configure it, okay? So drag the bars, make sure the time is correct. Now, some people have like a super off peak. So if you have 3 tiers, you would have a third tier, right? But I only have 2 tiers. It's either I pay 24 cents a kilowatt, which is what my new plan is since I renewed. Before it was like 19 cents, now it's 24 cents, or 0. So only 2 things. I don't have a middle tier or a super off-peak tier or anything of that nature. So, okay. Now the next thing is to keep in mind is I forgot. There's so for mine's Monday to Friday. So Monday to Friday, you see weekdays, and then next is my weekends. They're both configured exactly the same. They actually kind of break this up in the app. So I put the same schedule as weekdays. So I don't even have to configure the weekends because that's just in case you have like a free nights and free weekends. So maybe Monday to Friday, it's free, and then you have free weekends, or maybe you just have a free weekends plan, but during the weekdays you pay, you have a peak and off-peak charge. That's what you have to kind of do is configure. But for me, I have free nights 7 days a week, and I just pay. Okay, I'll go to next. And then you have to put your rate in, okay? Now, the first time you go through this, it might ask you to put a buy-in for the off-peak. So you may have to put a penny or it'll give you an error, okay? Now, if it gives you an error, if you leave it empty, put something in there, okay? Then after you've done it, you can go back in and then edit this and make sure it's empty. It doesn't give it to me because I've already gone through the step. It seems like just the first time you configure this, it gives you an error, and it says it's like you can't have rates. So what I do is I put my buy in at like 2 cents and I put my sell in at 1 cent. I go through it and then I come back and I just delete it and I'm able to save it again. Okay. And I'll just click next to save, right? So now I have my system configured. My buy price during peak is 24. My sell price is 3 cents. You'll notice there's no off-peak pricing. That is very important that it's not listed there. What I find is if they do have the off-peak there and you have any values in there, like for even if you sell back or buy or any of those values, it will actually confuse the system and you may not get the best return on your investment. What some people notice is that the system doesn't prioritize sending energy back to the grid, or they find that sometimes it's not charging at night. That's because you put pricing in there. So you probably put a buy price in. So it's like, well, I'm just going to use your solar to charge your batteries. Why would you want to pay for electricity? So it's going to kind of calculate that. So it's very important that off-peak is not listed. I can't say that enough because I find that to be the biggest issue for most people when they're configuring this. Okay. So again, the pricing section. Okay. Once the utility rate is configured, the next piece is the Powerwall, the top one. Now, this is where you're going to determine how much you're going to keep in reserve and how much you're going to use for time-based control. You'll see two options, self-powered or time-based control. What I've done is I set it to 25%. I have 5 batteries. So I keep a little bit over one battery of capacity to power my home in case like the power goes out at the end of the night, when I'm not able to get solar. But once and I can't charge my house at night, run my batteries at night, right? Because there's no power, right? So I have enough to run me through the night. If I'm sleeping, I'm not using lights. I don't have any TV on. I'm not using really any electricity. Then my usage actually drops down to like 0.1 kilowatt hours. I barely use any electricity at night. So I'm not worried about that. 75%, that's about 4 batteries. It's a little bit shy of 4 batteries that I'm using to power my house during the daytime. It's like basically 3 batteries and 3/4 of a battery based on how I have this broken up. Okay. So I set time-based control. I set my utility plan that I built out. Now, the next key thing is I turned on grid charging. Now, when you first click it, it's going to give you a prompt to say, hey, there's some tax implications if you do this, because obviously you're going to be using the grid. Speak to your accountant. It's going to give you like some kind of pop-up. Since I've done it already, it doesn't give it to me. Oh, there you go. It'll give you a message like this. Grid charging may have tax implications or may be restricted by utility. Confirm with the tax professional. Here in the Houston area, I just click yes. Okay. Again, it's advising you to do something. You can do it. It's up to you on how you want to go about doing it. So now your system's actually fully configured. All it took was to get your free energy and negative bill. Okay. Now, the other thing I would say that I have disabled is Stormwatch. Now, I used to keep it enabled, but because I have enough capacity, I don't really worry about if there's a storm coming through, unless it's going to be like a severe storm. And the reason why I personally have it disabled, you can leave it enabled if you want, is I don't want to pay for peak usage. I don't want to pay 24 cents a kilowatt hour when at 9 o'clock my batteries are going to recharge. And as long as I get enough battery to make it through the night, in the daytime, I should be able to recharge my batteries because I'll be generating solar. So I'll be able to charge my batteries. I'll just make sure I decrease my usage if needed so that I can, run my home for the whole day. But again, this is optional if you want to turn. I opted not to do that. But it's a great feature, man. Storms come in, it gets a weather alert. It just start making sure your batteries are charged. It starts pulling energy from the grid, pulls the energy from the solar, prioritize it, get your battery 100%. And then you just start using solar and grid to, continue to power your home. And then if the power goes out, done. Once the storm has passed, it goes back to normal operation. And it just goes back to selling your energy back to the grid during the daytime. So it prioritizes selling the energy to the grid. Okay, and this is how you prioritize it by this specific configuration that I showed you. It'll prioritize selling the energy back. And then at the nighttime, it'll actually charge your battery. So as soon as it hits 9 p.m., okay, I am going to start pulling energy from the grid. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video from here, and I'm going to give it about 20 minutes, and I'm going to start the recording again. So it'll be seamless for you, but you'll notice that this will then transition to where I'm pulling all the energy from the grid to power my home and to recharge my batteries. All right, so we're just about to come up to 9 p.m. So fast forward 20 minutes from where we were before. You'll notice that my energy usage dropped a little bit for my home. What you'll notice that we're just about to come up to the 9 o'clock hour where my free nights will be kicking in. You'll also notice my energy dropped a little bit. I'm using less electricity running into 9 p.m. Now 9 p.m. has just kicked in. And what you're going to notice when it's about 9:01, we're going to start charging from the grid. So my house only uses about 1.2 kilowatt hours. Now you'll notice it is now kicked in. It is now charging my Powerwall. So what I said earlier is I have 5 Powerwalls. I used about 4 of them to power my home. Is pulling electricity from the grid to recharge them for tomorrow. And it's also powering my home at the same time. So now I'm powering my home and the Powerwalls. It typically takes just under 2 hours for me to completely recharge all 4 Powerwalls. So about 30 minutes per Powerwall, but it's evenly charging them though. So within about 2 hours, I'll be fully charged, and then I'll just be powering my home. So again, the goal of this video, I'm not trying to sell you anything. All I'm trying to explain to you is if you have a power plan, a power company that offers a power plan where you can get tiered pricing, like less expensive energy at night than you do during the daytime, or free energy at night, take advantage of it. Configure your system to pay less for electricity. So if you don't generate enough solar during the daytime, then let the nighttime energy charge your batteries so that the daytime you use less of it or you don't use any of it, right? If you have free nights, then, well, you're going to use all your electricity at night and you're going to completely power your batteries, recharge your batteries and your home with your night energy, with your off-peak energy. And then if you get sell back credit, you're going to sell all your electricity back to the electric company. But the key thing is just making sure that you follow those steps that I put in. Anything other than that, you may get slightly different results than what I'm getting. Okay. Thank you again for tuning in. Do your homework, shop around for a solar company if you do not have solar. Hopefully you found this video educational. Sorry. Hope you found this video educational. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this video educational. Do your homework when you're looking to purchase solar. Shop around, get multiple different companies to come by, give you a quote. If you choose to get a quote from Tesla and move forward with Tesla, I'll also have my Tesla referral link below. If you use my referral link, that's in the description. You will get a couple $100 off your installation. It's money's money, right? So look at how you can save yourself money. It's not always about being green for some people. Some people are just looking at what is the financial benefit, what's the return on investment. As you can see, I got a really good return on investment. I don't pay for anything to charge my car. I don't pay anything to power my home, and I still get money back. But my ultimate goal was not to get a credit back. It was to have a $0 bill. If I was to do it differently than what I did today, how my system's installed, I probably would have put less solar in. I don't need to generate as much solar based on the plan that I'm on. A 50-50 mix would be ideal. But the way I have it covered, it covers 100% of my annual usage. Now you'll also notice in here, it says to join Tesla Electric. For me personally, it doesn't work. I find that I get a better return using Amigo Energy. Your choice, you can always use it. They don't have free nights, but you can charge your car for a fixed rate per month. I find it to be much more beneficial to do it the way I'm doing it. But again, shop around, find a utility company. I only found one in the Houston area. If you're outside the Houston area, look for one in your area. If you're in the Houston area, if you can find another one, post it in the comments. I'll be more than happy to share that information, but I personally haven't found one. All right. Again, thank you for tuning in. And like this video and subscribe.